Mr. B.
Yerrr! It's the Social Millennial Podcast. We out here. Gang. What up, y'all? Thank y'all so much for pulling up once again to the Social Millennial Podcast. For those of y'all who are here for the first time, as always, this is just a chill, kick back, check in. You feel me? My name is marcuspena. I kind of just talk about what has been interesting me this week. News stories, sporting events. Shows, politics. You feel me? Sometimes some really interesting stories. And for y'all's enjoyment, just talking to the camera. What up, y'all? Thank you for pulling up. Those of y'all who have been here, gang, we out here. Y'all already know what it is. We are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. We are on Facebook at Social Millennial Pod, as well as YouTube, same at Social Millennial Pod. For those of y'all listening, we have that visual component on YouTube. Pull up on your boy for the visual component when you have the time. Give me, some 10, 20 seconds of views, let it count as a view. Give us a little thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you get the notifications. You feel me? Hopefully. And maybe shoot us a comment. If you like the pod, you want to give us some words of encouragement. You want to let us know what y'all want us to talk about next. Maybe something you want us to do a deep dive on. Or let us know your opinion about stuff. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you disagree with my take. That's okay. I want to hear about it. This is cool. We can have a nice little dialogue in the comments. For those of y'all listening, thank y'all for listening. We are on Spotify. We are on YouTube podcasts now. No longer Google Podcasts. They transitioned everything over to YouTube. And we are on, I said Apple, I think, but if I didn't, Apple Podcasts. So if y'all want to enjoy, this show is served pretty much everywhere that podcasts are served, even on Pandora. If y'all are a little bit old school, somebody under the sound of my voice is a little bit more old school, a little bit more, cultured, a little bit more so belonging to a yesteryear era, there is a link in the description, whether it's the visual on YouTube or the audio, wherever you're listening to it. There is a link in the description called homepage. Whether it is that you have to tap or click the homepage word, or there's a link presented, tap on that, click on that, and it will take you to the landing page of this podcast, the audio version, and all the episodes will be there if you're viewing in a web browser. Nice and easy. Maybe you're like, I don't really deal with Spotify on my desktop. I don't really put Spotify on my phone. Throw it on the desktop. Bookmark it. You feel me? Hit that RSS feed so that maybe you can get some notifications there. Add it to your RSS. So maybe while you're doing your work, maybe you work from home, maybe you're doing data entry, what have you, you could have the podcast going. You can hear the sound of my voice. You could tap in to what's going on. But thank y'all so much for being here. As always, in the description will be links to all the stories that I'm talking about. If I have any recommendations, there will be links for what those recommendations are, so y'all can click over to it and enjoy what I'm enjoying, or what I have enjoyed and I'm recommending to y'all. There's, as always, a link to the merch page. So say, support is free. You can hit us with a like wherever you're enjoying this show. You can hit us with star ratings. You can hit us with reviews. Hit us with comments. Hit us with a share. That's a great free way to support this show, support what we're trying to do here. If you're vibing, if you're feeling it, you hit that vibe check, and it's where it needs to be. You feel me? That's a great way to support, and that is a very acceptable way to support. There is nothing wrong with that. This is a free episode. It will continue to be free to listen to. Now, if anybody out there feels like they want to take more of a direct role in the development of this platform and this project, head on over. There is a link in the description, whether you're watching it or whether you're listening to it, over to the Patreon, the Marcus Pena Presents Patreon. This is Marcus Pena Presents Media Group. Over there, a whole other episode that you can enjoy. So you can get the free one here and get a second episode over on Patreon. So you see these the episode numbering in your platform of choice that you enjoy this content on, and you see that the numbering is a little bit staggered now all of a sudden, or these days. It's because the other episode is over at the Patreon. Now over there, become a member, and you have access to the bonus episode. For now, you will have access to more because there's more coming. We're going to be producing a lot more content. I've got a couple of more shows that I'm producing coming down the pike. Some other forms of content as well. Because I am, for those of y'all who don't know, I'm Marcus Pena, actor, musician, just all around creative artist, producer, stage, TV, film, multi-instrumentalist, singer-songwriter, recording artist. I mean, any way that I would like to express myself, I kind of just do that. So Marcus Pena Presents Media Group over there at that Patreon is going to be where I'm going to be hosting all of my paid content. Is going to be over there. That's everything. Eventually, it's really big. We're going to be doing big things and expanding. Eventually we'll be doing movie reviews. We'll be doing movie watch-alongs and TV series watch-alongs, so y'all can watch with me. I'll be doing sort of behind the scenes of the EPs that I'm developing for this year. I'm working on 2 separate projects for this year in 2 different parts of the year that I'm dropping it. You get cool behind the scenes of just me producing, like what my process is for anybody who would enjoy that. Anybody who wants to see me cook. You feel me? If anybody out there wants to see me cook, y'all are gonna get a peek behind the curtain to see how I cook. And I've got like 2 or 3 other shows. And maybe 2 or 3 other podcasts as well that I have in the planning phases right now. But those shows and those podcasts will be a mixture, just like this show is. It will be a mixture of free episodes and paid platform episodes. But head on over to the Patreon if y'all feel like y'all want to really support, really put forward a little bit more than a like and a comment and a share, and want to have sort of a direct influence on what's happening in terms of the growth of this platform. Head on over to Patreon. We've got 2 tiers. We've got a supporter tier where, say that you don't really want the bonus episode, you really don't care for the crude language or for the more risque or more controversial topics that we speak on over there, but you're on board with what this Afro Latino is trying to do with a few other things mixed in there. We'll talk about that on another episode. There's that supporter tier. You don't get any content, but if you want to just pledge something every month, you can do that. If you want the content, we've got the We Here tier. You heard it correctly. We Here. You feel me? Our first tier ever for the Social Millennial podcast on the Marcus Pena Presents Media Group Patreon. I'm not asking for a whole bunch of money, y'all. It's a very little bit, but a little bit goes a long way. You hit up that membership and you will get this bonus episode that's coming every week. So you're going to get 2 episodes. You feel me? One that's free, one that's a paid episode, and we'll be getting into some nitty gritty over there. It's not always going to be crude language, but definitely things that I don't want to put onto the YouTube platform are going to go over there. The subjects, the topics, sometimes it's just one topic and we just break it down. But yeah. So now that that's out of the way, paying some bills, you feel me? How are y'all doing? Let me know down in the comments. How are y'all feeling this week? Did y'all have a good week? Are y'all going through anything rough? Let me know. I like to respond. I like to read the comments and interact with y'all. I had a good week, doing my thing out here, making sure we getting what we need to get while the getting's good to get. You feel me? I'm looking to get out to watch Kung Fu Panda. I haven't really heard too many reviews on it yet, which is unlike me. I'm usually diving in, but I am interested to see how what they're doing in having more plot for Poe, because 1 and 2 was enough plot. I didn't even really get to watch 3. I have it. I'm gonna watch that before I watch 4. I want to do that. I did watch Avatar: The Last Airbender live action on Netflix, and let me tell you, that joint is hot garbage. Whoever ran that show, whoever wrote that, I mean, I'm sorry that you did this. sorry you were the person that had to butcher a near perfect cartoon that is pretty much timeless. I mean, it's timeless and it's ageless. You can be an adult and watch it and understand the charm and get locked in, get connected to what's going on. But yeah, it's really, really atrocious. Really atrocious. I'm still debating as to whether I want to do a watch along on the Patreon, and or do like an episode review as well. And the debate is that it's so like trash. It's like every 3-4 minutes, some more trash happens. And whether that's having to do with not necessarily locking in with what the cartoon is, what the source material is, or not even locking in with its own internal logic of its own plot. It's so much. So there's just so much lunacy. And I don't like that because I feel like it was decently well cast. The casting director for this series was really good. I was going to say show, and then I switch over to series. Was really good. I liked the kid that they chose for Aang. I liked the kid that they chose for Sokka. Katara, I feel like they could have, because they were talking about they're trying to be inclusive, but they still got all these light-skinned people. And Sokka is dark-skinned, and Katara is dark-skinned. Their POC is like, go all the way. But, we got what we got. Generally really great casting all around. Azula was miscast. They needed a different person. But the casting was good, and I just felt like they were done. The cast was done a disservice. The entire cast was done a disservice by the lackluster scripts that they were given, the lackluster plot of the lackluster overall plot of this first season. It's just, I mean, you can only do so much, and the kid that plays Aang is the youngest, and child actors, it's a thing. It's rough sometimes. So I feel like they really did a disservice. Really did them dirty, because all the behind the scenes stuff that I've seen of this series, these actors seem like they really studied their role. They really studied their character. They really understood the characters from the cartoon, from the source material. And it seems like they came in ready to do the source material characters because they like Avatar: The Last Airbender. They're fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And then the script and the director and the showrunner are like, nah, we're not going to do that. I know you were excited. I know you were happy. I know you were through the moon when we called you and told you that you got the part of Aang, but you're not going to get to be Aang the way that you thought you were going to be Aang. You're going to be our Aang. And I know as an actor, I mean, as a kid, as a young person, that's rough, getting your hopes up. They got automatically renewed for a season 2 and a season 3, which is bonkers to me because the fans are not even divided. Most fans of the series, like of the cartoon, of the source material, think that the live action series is trash. Many reviewers for magazines, newspapers, agree with the fan base that the series is trash, that it should have never been made in the way that it was being made, that it was made in a very wrong-headed way. I might break down something like that, a very specific little thing, not in this episode, having to do with that series. That series is sticking with me in its trashness. But Netflix automatically renewed it in spite of the backlash, which is wild to me. Because it could not have brought that many new subscribers or just to justify them to renew it. They renewed it for a second and a third season off rip, which is wild to me, because a great show, critically acclaimed show that had to have gotten them subscribers because it had Michelle Yeoh in it, The Brother's Son, got canceled. They didn't do a second season. And I feel like they ended the show in a good enough way that it's fine. You could just leave it like that. They didn't have to do another season. Like, there's no real loose ends. So that was cool that the showrunner, that the creators of the show did it that way, just in case they didn't get another season. But that show was fire. I recommend go see The Brother's Son on Netflix and wherever else that it's showing. I will put a link in the description. Now, State of the Union. I don't even think I'm going to talk about that. State of Union was nonsense on many different levels. Like a lot of the information that Biden's handlers, that the powers that be, that the power behind the throne, told Biden to say through those teleprompters are misinformation. They are almost 100% lies, like outright just lying to the American people. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm not going to break it down. It just was lies. It was wild what Marjorie Taylor Greene did. It was wild one. It was, but no, not but. It was wild, and I feel like it lacked couth. And also it was courageous. Trash and courageous at the same time. She kind of overdid it with the MAGA hat. She kind of overdid it with the red blazer, just overdoing it, like kind of making people look bad, making people look worse when we don't need that really, or they don't need that anyway. I mean, we don't in general. But it was courageous in that, you know, we want to remember this girl that died. This dude really called her Lincoln, which is wild. Lakin. He called her Lincoln. And then was like, you know, oh, that this person died of an illegal immigrant, an illegal killed her. But how many legals are killing people? Like how many people die from legals? It was, I mean, brain dead. Absolute, not politically correct, not just off color, but just brain dead statement to make. It's wild. I am going to, though, since I'm not going to really go in depth in the State of the Union, because of how trash it was, and I don't want the vein in my neck to explode with how trash it was. I'm going to put in the description a link that I recommend that you watch this video by a great channel on YouTube called Don't Walk Run. He does a great breakdown of it. It's very short, it's very concise, and just really talks about the lies, really. And it's not lies where it's, oh, anecdotal, tinfoil hat. No, he goes into the actual IRS data that was released. He goes into Consumer Report data that was released as the official U.S. data to show that what Biden's script writers, speech writers, and handlers, like what they have made him say, is really just lies. It's just inaccurate, completely misrepresentations, inaccuracies, and flat out lies. That will be in the description as well. That's a great video to check out, and to definitely go over and subscribe to Don't Walk Run. You want some really great political reporting, and with a little bit of humor put in there, a little bit. Head over to Don't Walk Run. Definitely subscribe, and write in the comments. Let them know the Social Millennial Podcast sent you. At Social Millennial Pod sent you over there. But you can watch that. Now, on to what I actually have on the docket today. Not a whole lot for this episode, but we've got something. We're dipping. It's been a few weeks. We haven't dipped into science like that, but we're gonna dip into science today. All right, this is according to CNN World, right? Scientists inch forward in efforts to resurrect an extinct giant. All right, and this article reads, a bold plan to genetically engineer a version of the woolly mammoth, the tusked Ice Age giant that disappeared 4,000 years ago, is making some progress, according to the scientists involved. The long-term goal is to create a living, walking elephant-mammoth hybrid that would be visually indistinguishable from its extinct forerunner and, if released into its natural habitat in sufficient numbers, could potentially help restore the fragile Arctic tundra ecosystem. Yeah. Now, these are Harvard University geneticists, namely George Church, has been working on this for more than a decade. I remember 10 years ago when they had a whole thing. It was a whole event that they had found a woolly mammoth preserved in the permafrost, like perfectly preserved. It's like this huge square chunk, and it was just in there. We're now seeing where they're getting with it, how long it's been. George Church, the plan gained traction in February 2021 when Church co-founded Dallas-based Colossal Biosciences with entrepreneur Ben Lamb and received an infusion of cash and an ensuing glare of publicity later that year. Many challenging tasks, such as developing an artificial womb capable of gestating a baby elephant, remain. But Colossal Biosciences said on Wednesday that it had made a momentous step forward. Church and Ariana Hisayi, two L's, I want to say J. Colossal's head of biological sciences revealed they had reprogrammed cells from an Asian elephant, the mammoth's closest living relative, into an embryonic state. The first time stem cells have been derived from elephant cells. The team plans to publish the work in a scientific journal, but the research hasn't yet undergone peer review. These modified cells, known as induced pluripotent stem cells, or iPSCs, can be further teased in the lab to grow into any kind of elephant cell. An important tool as the researchers model, test, and refine the scores of genetic changes they need to make to give an Asian elephant the genetic traits it needs to survive in the Arctic. These include a woolly coat, a layer of insulating fat, and smaller ears. Yeah, so this is pretty interesting stuff. I'm not going to read the entire article, as I usually don't. Just going to kind of give you all the Cliff's notes. Will be easier for conversation. Scientists study the Asian elephants. The key obstacle team is making the elephants also. I'm looking for this one section. Embryonic cells implanted. Right. The elephant stem cells also hold the key to the mammoth's rebirth. Once edited to have mammoth-like genetic traits, the elephant cells could be used to make eggs and sperm and an embryo that could be implanted into some kind of artificial womb. However, that will take years to work. So the idea, right? The idea is that they want to, they're gonna with these stem cells and with the ability, with more tinkering of the genetics, of the genetic code of the Asian elephant, they want to be able to get the Asian elephant's genes as close to the woolly mammoth genes DNA that they have, because they have very great samples, because it's been preserved. They want to get it as close as they can to make them more of a genetic match, like so that if you had a woolly mammoth in real life and you had an Asian elephant, that they could reproduce with each other. That's the idea. Not that they're going to do that off rip because they ain't no mammoths, but that's what they're trying to do. So then they make it genetically compatible with its closest relative, so that then when they're doing how do you say it? It cuts the work in half to where maybe they only need to create the egg or use the egg from a Asian elephant and a stem cell derived sperm cell from the Asian elephant mammoth DNA hybrid, and do that, or vice versa. Have the stem cells tease it to develop into an egg, an embryonic egg, and then have the Asian elephant sperm do its thing. It seems like they want to use an artificial womb, probably because of PETA and animal abuse. They don't want to necessarily experiment with on the first time having a surrogate Asian elephant carry it and something catastrophic happen. So that's going to be years that they're going to be able to, years of development in terms of technology, specifically to develop an embryo, an incubator for gestation for the elephant. But the idea is, should this succeed in the next 10 years and they're able to make one that can reproduce viably, then they're going to look to create a male one. They're going to look to create females, and they're going to look to have them reproduce, and then probably eventually breed out the Asian elephant genome from the grouping of elephants, of mammoth elephant hybrids that they have, until they can get maybe 2, 3, 4 generations in, they can get an actual woolly mammoth as close to it would be, as close to the woolly mammoth as it would be if it was around, if we were around 4,000 years ago. I think that's eventually what the goal is in terms of bringing back, or the journey, the process of bringing back and resurrecting this species. They're hoping, in terms of the ecosystem, what they're hoping is that the presence of the large woolly mammoth back in the Arctic and Arctic tundra will help with the permafrost. It'll help the permafrost not to melt, as there have been studies that have shown in Russia, where there are big game animals, herds, yaks and so on, moose and bison, that the areas with which they tend to reside, the soil temperature is cooler. So they're hoping with these large animals, herds in the Arctic tundra, that it would help the Arctic not to melt down and to retain some of its coldness, so that permafrost won't go away. Which I guess maybe. I personally think that this is a little wild, because you introduce a large animal like that, an elephant, into an ecosystem that has not seen these elephants, that has not sustained these elephants, and has adapted to not have to sustain such large animals eating large amounts, tons of vegetation for thousands of years. Ice Age happened, mammoths died, frozen in the ice, or were hunted to extinction, and the ecosystem adapted. What's going to happen now when the woolly mammoths are herding and they're stepping into polar bears territory? What's going to happen when the polar bears are aggressive towards them because they never seen something like this before, and a lot of the polar bears die? What if the polar bears die out because of it? So I really don't think, I think that we should let humans, this is an instance where humans should let sleeping dogs lie and just kind of let the mammoth be gone. Like, let it go away. Let it rest. We don't need to resurrect them. We don't need to do a Jurassic Park. We really don't. The wolves don't need it. Polar bears don't need it. White foxes don't need it. The various different species of elk and goat, mountain goat and moose, we don't need it. We don't need herds. The various species of bears up in the north and the Yukon, we don't need to disrupt all of that. The world, the wildlife and the ecosystem that exists now are meant to exist now. Allow that to just be the case. The bears that existed when woolly mammoths were around were not the same kind of bears that exist now. It's just, and that's anthropology, that's archaeology, that's just the truth. It's not the same. Not the same. So what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Why? For what? For them to eat tons and tons, and then there's not enough food to go around for the deer and the elk and bison and all these other people. All these other animals. But yeah, humans, the science doing its science thing. Humans don't really know when to stop. More is more is more is more. Humans can't wait to get more. They need more. Let's move on. What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think? Bringing back the woolly mammoth, and somehow that's supposed to help the ecosystem of the tundra, a species that has gone extinct and has been extinct for the past 4,000 years, if not more than that. And we're going to bring it back. We're going to reintroduce it. We're going to reintroduce elephants to an area that has not seen elephants for thousands of years. Let me know what y'all think. Moving on, in a little bit more sensational news that I found interesting, and I'm sure, I want to say I'm sure, but some of y'all may not have heard it. It was probably everywhere on y'all Google feeds, etc. But Mike Tyson, or I should say, Jake Paul is going to be fighting Mike Tyson on Netflix, not with Triller, not on anybody else, on Netflix. So this is going to be Netflix's, this is going to represent Netflix's first foray into live sports, which I know Disney is shaking in their damn boots. I know the people at Disney are like, what in tarnation? Because my gosh, Netflix is really the only platform right now for streaming that seems to be the only one that is financially solvent. It is still the biggest one. The other platforms don't even really compete. And it got to the point where they're so financially insolvent that they just started to license out. They went back to licensing out their content instead of staying exclusive the way that they were. Remember, Paramount stuff was on Paramount. Amazon stuff was on Amazon. And if you wanted cross-licensed things, you would find it on Amazon. Disney stuff was on Disney. You're not finding any Disney stuff nowhere else for that whole long time. Only until recently, they're going back to licensing back and forth across all of these different streaming platforms because they're so they're bleeding money. They're each company's streaming platform is bleeding money. It's not profitable. It has not been profitable or sustainable. Netflix is the only thing, and Netflix was in danger a few years ago too. So ESPN, I say Disney's shaking in their boots because Disney owns ESPN. So Disney is shaking in its boots with this development because you've got the biggest streamer, the most prolific streamer in terms of original content, now doing a live sporting event, and we're gonna see how that goes. If it goes off without a hitch, and I know if it's triumphant, Netflix is not gonna hesitate to release those numbers. And if those numbers are wild, you know Netflix is about to do a whole sports section. They're about to do deals with the NFL, deals with the NHL, deals with everybody to host, and they'll probably be their own independent thing. You know, they'll have deals with ESPN. They'll have maybe some deals with Fox Sports and stuff, but they will be tapping into the feed to do it themselves most likely as if they are their own network. So they don't have to shell out so much money for the licensing for ESPN. So I know business wise, they're shaking in their boots. Everybody else, Disney's shaking in their boots. Paramount Plus is shaking in their boots. I mean, Paramount Plus is already, it's about to be out the door, but yeah. So Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, and the prevailing idea among the rabble, among the peoples, is that Mike Tyson is going to absolutely rip Jake Paul apart. Now, do I think that's what's going to happen? I don't think so. Tyson looked good against Roy Jones Jr. in that exhibition. You know, he did. It was a few years ago. He looks good. He looks like he's doing well hitting mitts as of late when you see his training videos. But take it from me, someone who looks good hitting mitts, you know, isn't necessarily a better fighter. And I'm not saying that Tyson isn't the better fighter because he has decades of experience. Decades of muscle memory. You know, I'm not saying that, but I am saying this guy's like 57, 58. And Jake Paul's 27, I think. It's about a 30-year difference, right? I think that on his own, in his training videos, Tyson looks like a murderer. Tyson looks like he's going to absolutely maul this kid. But when we get to the ring, when we get to that squared circle, I think that Tyson's reflexes, I think it's going to show. His age is going to show in how slow that he is to react to things. Now, it doesn't mean that he is slow moving. It means that I very much so expect him to react to Jake Paul a beat behind him. Now, it doesn't mean that he still can't land his blows. Doesn't mean that he still doesn't have all of his lines and his combos and all of his, his peekaboo boxing. But I don't see it being like Mike Tyson is going to walk him down type of a deal. I also know that if Tyson goes in there to maul this kid and knocks him out in the first 20 seconds, we don't get money. And I don't mean that they don't get paid. I mean, it represents sort of a letdown or a loss for Netflix, reputation wise. So I do think that in terms of contract, they are going to stretch the fight. I expect the fight to go to decision. Or I should say, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to decision, because you want to give, for Netflix's inaugural live sporting event, I would think Netflix really wants to give the audience a show. They might even charge a premium for this. It might be a Netflix pay-per-view thing that they're trying to test out. So you want to give the people you want to give them their money's worth. You want to give them, even if it's their money's worth for their time, you want to give them a show. So that's what I'm expecting. Now, could Mike Tyson just show up and just see red and go crazy? That's possible too. This is Mike Tyson. The allure of this entertainment or this spectacle, the allure of this spectacle of a boxing match, if you can call it boxing, is that Mike Tyson is very unpredictable. And he has been saying on his podcast for a while now that he yearns and hungers to be young again, or yearns and hungers to be back in the ring in front of all the people, throwing those blows, performing at his peak. He yearns for that. So, we'll see. I would hope that, and I would very rarely say this, not very rarely say this, I very rarely ever feel this way, but I would hope that his doctors, his nutritionists, are putting him on TRT. Maybe not steroids, but give him some testosterone. The guy's 57 and he's fighting a kid, 27 years old, prime. I would not think any less of Mike Tyson if he took some TRT, even a little bit of steroids. He's got to get some of that muscle mass back. As far as I know, through the grapevine, because I don't think it's been announced yet, it's going to be a heavyweight fight at the heavyweight level. And we don't have a round count yet. We don't have a glove size yet either. So we don't know the ounces of the gloves that they're going to be using. This is taking place in, if I'm not mistaken, July. This is the summer. I have the article right here. July 20th. So they've got some time. Mike Tyson, in his training videos, it looks like he's been hungry to get back in for real for a while. So I know he's going to be in shape. I know he's going to be doing his thing, doing his running, getting himself together. But it's just unpredictable. It is unpredictable. I'm saying the things about the fight that I feel I would not be surprised by. I would not be surprised if it goes the distance. I would not be surprised if Tyson wins by decision instead of knocking out Jake Paul. I wouldn't be surprised if they told Tyson to fight that way, because we need to create something entertaining. We need this. This is a proof of concept. So we've got to adequately and thoroughly prove the concept. I would not be surprised. But then on the flip side, I would also not be surprised if Mike Tyson just comes in guns blazing and knocks the kid out or really hurts him and the ref has to stop the fight or knocks him down 2 or 3 times. I also wouldn't be surprised that in Mike Tyson's old age and in his sort of tenacity, Jake Paul sleeps him. I wouldn't be surprised. Only because Tyson is older. Like, I don't expect his chin to be all the way there, like his brain to be. I expect it to be a little easier to knock him out now that he's 57. In terms of his brain reacting to the shock, or get knocked down. I wouldn't be surprised. But what do y'all think? What do y'all think about this fight? Do you think Tyson is just going to absolutely destroy Jake Paul? Like just eviscerate him first round, second round? Do you think he's going to hit him hard enough in the body and hard enough and with those uppercuts that Jake Paul is going to look like he should have thought twice before fighting this guy? We'll see. I mean, he fought Fury, if I'm not mistaken, and Tommy Fury, and Jake Paul lost. When he finally faced a real boxer, he lost by decision. He's facing the realest boxer. It's just the realest boxer past his prime. It'd been cool if Jake Paul called up like a Canelo or something and fought him. Though I don't think Canelo would even how do you say, would even take that fight. It would be like fighting a 5-year-old. But we're going to see. Let me know what y'all think. I really like boxing. I really like combat sports. Tyson being 57, you could have the killerest of instincts. At 57, I mean, you can have all the old man strength, but your brain, your neurological system, I don't know. A similar thing was what happened with, but was evident with Tony Ferguson. When Tony Ferguson's last fight, he just looked, and this is in mixed martial arts, this is in UFC. Tony Ferguson's last fight, he looked too slow. Like he's as if he's not moving in slow motion, but he's reacting in slow motion. Like a very late, very delayed reaction to things. You get older, it's just what happens with your neurological system. So what do y'all think? Because that's what I think. I'll be watching it though. I mean, I'll be watching it or I'll watch it afterwards. I have my ways. Let me know what y'all think. Give us a like on YouTube and everywhere else that you might be listening to this. Give us a review. Let us know what you think of the podcast and comment where you can. Make sure to hit the links down in the description, please. We have a homepage where you can bookmark if you're using if you want to use a web browser and listen to it while you're at work in the background. The homepage is there, the landing page for the podcast to listen to it. The merch page is there. Please, if y'all don't want to do the Patreon and hit a membership, you feel me, and pay every single month for membership for mad content, then hit up the merch. We have everything from short sleeve shirts to hoodies to sweatshirts to pillows to wall art to banners. We have coffee mugs. We have tumblers. We have cell phone covers, cell phone cases. What else do we have? We have baby clothes. Y'all want little onesies, little baby clothes? We got that. So head on over there to the Social Millennial Podcast merch shop. Again, link is in the description. It might just say merch and you just tap on it or click on it, or it might say merch with the link under it. Hit it. I've got the recommendations down there. All right. Don't Walk, Run, and their take on the State of the Union address, and essentially fact checking the State of the Union address. So y'all could see that Biden is really just lying. Most of the information that he gave about, we did this and 14 million jobs and all this are just lies. And you'll see it in the actual US data, job market data. But it's fun. Don't let that bog you down. Think that it's, oh my gosh, let me have some guy talking. It's got some music to it. It's got some pizzazz to it. It's presented in a spiffy way. And also I will have, it was Don't Walk, Run, and a link to The Brother's Son. Absolutely watch The Brother's Son. Michelle Yeoh is in it. It's really great. I mean, from start to finish, for real. Yeah. The link will be in the description of all the stories that we talked about. And thank y'all so much for pulling up. We are on social media once again. Thanks for making it this far. At Social Millennial Pod on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, and on YouTube. All right, y'all. Subscribe on the YouTube channel. Hit the little notification bell icon so you can get notified. So you can be notified in your feed of when we drop our next episode. This is episode number 61. Thank y'all so much. Head on over to the Patreon, link in the description, to enjoy episode number 62, the spicy episode. We're talking about some things over there. We're doing some things, you feel me? And have a great blessed week. Be yourselves. Reach for the stars. Be blessed.